Alright, what's going on YouTube? Here we go, another Hidden Cup qualifiers, this time Nicov, one of the best Argentinian, in fact, well, he's actually the best Argentinian player, one of the highest ranking players in the world right now, a player that is very likely to be there at the end in Hidden Cup 4 in the main event versus Scotty, one of the better American players. Let's see what Scotty can do against Nicov. Here are the maps for the players. Nicov is picking Islands and Hideout. Scotty playing Slopes and Bay. The bans are Gold Rush from Nicov and Cross from Scotty. Civilization-wise, we do have a random snipe over here from Scotty, interestingly, but it ended up being Vikings. I think that's a win, sort of. Japanese, Mongols, Indians, Tatars, Portuguese, Franks will be the available civs for Nicov with a global ban on Huns. Other side, Chinese, Aztecs, Persians, Khmer, Malians, and Byzantines are available for Scotty with a global ban on Mayans, and he lost Italians to Nikov's snipe, which actually is a significant thing because one of Scotty's home map, I believe, no, it's actually Nikov's home map is Island, but it doesn't matter because I assume that Scotty wanted to use Italians on islands. Now he's gonna have to settle with potentially Byzantines over there as his alternative civilization, maybe Persians, but with Bay available, I would think that Bay is going to be Persians and Scotty's gonna have to play Byzantines over there. With that being said, Nicov is the clear favorite of this one, but maybe Scotty can pull an upset, maybe Scotty can deliver some very, very competitive games for us. We have seen some surprising results so far in these qualifiers, and I do expect some other surprises as well. One thing that we have to keep in mind is that Nicov has had some rough months behind him in terms of tournament performances. He's still one of the best players in the world, but the recent tournaments that he has played in didn't work out the way he imagined them, and he also felt very, very bad because of them. So I am 100% sure that Nicov has been practicing extremely hard for Hidden Cup, and he's aiming definitely to get into the main event, but I think he wants to secure himself a top 8 finish, at least in Hidden Cup. The lineup is going to be pretty tough in terms of players, and everybody has gotten better since Hidden Cup 3, so it's going to be awfully hard to get anything more than top 8, but I feel like for him, in order to regain a little bit of a confidence, he needs to get into the top 8, and the first step is getting through Scotty. But really, what we have to keep in mind is that this is a series where Nicov should have a 90% plus winning chance. But you never know. We have seen big names. For example, if you think about tournaments back in the days, like sometimes in Hidden Cup, we have seen some upsets. Hidden Cup 3, Max losing in the first round of Hidden Cup 3 after being, I think, in the semifinals on Hidden Cup 2, or King of the Desert, how many high-level players fell or got upset by weaker players, or events like, for example, Red Bull Volo 3, the qualifier upsets, the main event upsets. So you should never say never to an upset potential. One thing is sure, when you're looking at Arabia, that should be a map that is heavily in the favor of Nicov. We will see what Scotty can do on this map, but the real question when it comes to him being able to beat Nicov is, can he actually win on the non-Arabia maps? Because that's your real strengths over a stronger opponent overall. Arabia is generally a map where the stronger player is going to be winning. The other maps are more likely to deliver a surprise, to potentially deliver an upset. With that being said, Scotty is going to be having Malians on the north in red, what is dark? This is just Dark Age, yeah. But Tatars will be Nicov civ here in blue. Tatars is one of the more unconventional Arabia civ, but it's a reasonable one overall. Their archer build is pretty nice, their scouts build is pretty nice, their eco bonus has been nerfed a tiny bit, but still the free thumb ring can actually help you immensely when it comes to an early Castle Age crossbowman push, potentially transitioned into a cav archer play. So Tatars is still a fairly viable civilization, and we also have to keep in mind that Nicov is aspiring to get into the main event, and in fact, potentially get into at least the second round of the main event, so he really is not willing to show any future strategies. So this is something that also has to do, like this selection, this also has to do something with the fact that he doesn't really want to show off his best strategies right at this point, because Like, I would definitely expect Nicov to be there at least in the decider games, the qualifiers, but I would be somewhat surprised myself if he didn't qualify for the main event. But, well, first he has to handle Scotty, and let's see if Scotty can actually pull an upset here. Nicov is going for a premium rush over here. And on the other side, we are also going to have a premium rush here from Scotty. So these rushes are likely to cancel each other out, and I wonder why Nicov is not making militias. Did he see the barracks? I think he saw the barracks, and he's like, okay, my opponent is making a premium rush. Yeah, he sees the barracks. So maybe he's like, okay, there is no point making my rush, or he just forgot about it. It seems like he now is making the militias, which means that he just kind of forgot about them. Anyways, looking at Nikov's base, this gold mine is actually pretty nice if you're able to wall off the left side of your map. Otherwise, you probably want to wall maybe just to this wood line, but that would be very, very little wood. I would be tempted to say that the ideal would be to wall like this. This wood line is looking extremely weird over here, like a double layered trees at the edge of the map. And here come the militias from Scotty, and the same from Nicov. As I said, at the end of the day, this will probably be an even militia trade. We'll see if Nicov is going to add another militia here. He's bringing in more gold than what he actually needs, and for now he just goes for loom, so he doesn't want to add the fourth militia. But you see, he actually brought in 9 extra gold. This is why I thought that he could be thinking about another militia. Anyways, Scotty actually lamed one of the deer from his opponent. Not really a big deal, especially for Tatars that have longer lasting sheep. So this should be no problem for Nicov right now. And we do have quite a lot of HP lost on Nikov's militia over here. In fact, one of them is pretty much dead, whereas there was barely any health lost for Scotty. Scotty's militia still combined for an overall health of 112, whereas Nikov's militia is down to 84, so that was some pretty bad engagement over there for Nicov. Not sure what happened. Anyways, we'll have Wolof coming up here from Nicov, and we'll see what the follow-up is. Nicov clicks up at 22, so maybe he wants to convert this into a man-at-arms play. Sending 2 Voyages on goal. I think, yeah, he probably wants to play man-at-arms now. Because this is too early for a rush into archers play. And on the other side, it looks like Scotty is clicking up at 24, which is a rush into archer play from him. Malians with the cheaper buildings is actually nice when it comes to an archer build. They're completely viable archer-wise until late Castle Age, early Imperial. Maybe even in Imperial, because they do have Arbalest, but they're lacking Bracer. So, even though Malians aren't amazing in Imperial Age, when it comes to archers, they are somewhat viable. It looks like those militias aren't going to be able to get inside here. The weird thing here that Nikov's warriors are freaking out, and if you remember this, there was a bug that actually involved Nicov once again in King of Desert 3, where his Voyagers pretty much just stopped working on the lumber camp from time to time, and he had to fix them like multiple times, and there was a lot of drama about that one, I think, which was completely understandable, by the way, that he pretty much got screwed over that game by that, because by the time he noticed that his Voyagers were idle, like, he sent them back to work, they went idle again. He sent them back to work, but they went idle again, and that resulted in multiple minutes of idle time. And at the end of the day, pretty much cost him at least one game over there. So, sort of a similar bug seemed to happen over here. Anyways, the fact that Nicov was up to Feudal Age a little bit faster meant that he was able to deliver some nice hits on the scout of Scotty. Scotty is still 2 hits away from losing that scout. I think if Scotty turns back and uses hill advantage against Nicov, he can kill Nikov's scout. We'll see if he's gonna do that. I think he's just trying to run back home and save that scout and use the TC to kill Nicov. Scout Nicov will disengage for the time being, and we'll have double range archers for Scotty over here. Double range as well is the name of the game for Nicov. Militias will be cleaned up. Nicov still has 2 militias over here, but like the best thing that you can do with those militias right now is like keep track of the opponent's archers and try to track them with those militias, and then use your scout in the meanwhile to scout the rest of the map for relics, for neutral resources whatsoever. Anyways, Nicov coming in here with the blacksmith, an up building that is already up by Scotty, and he's getting fletching as well for himself. You have to ask the question if Scotty really needed the fletching upgrade immediately, because the thing is that he is not really going to take fights, and oftentimes you can just wait with fletching until you actually have to take fights, because fletching research is pretty fast, so you usually have the time to get it before taking an engagement. And if you don't get it, that helps you, save up some resources for potentially Castle Age, because it kind of seems like this is going to go into Castle Age here, because none of the players are really willing to commit to any engagements. Both of them are just sitting back at home defending. And I feel like, as I said, if Scotty just skipped the fletching upgrade over here for a moment, he would be sitting on 100 extra food and 50 extra gold. So oftentimes it is said that you want to get fletching before you actually take fights, because before that there is absolutely no use of actually getting fletching over here. That being said, if he wants to move out, that fletching is going to be pretty useful. The question is if he's actually willing to move out over here. For now, Nicov is just doing double range archer play, and we'll see if Nicov is going to move out over here. So, with that, it looks like Scotty will be the one that starts moving out of his base first. He picks up the scout, but this also signals to Nicov that, hey, there is actually archers coming your way. Both players are kind of even distance to Castle Age, I would say. Scotty is a little bit behind, but not by a massive margin, to be honest. So I feel like he's probably going to have like a 30 to 50 seconds deficit going into Castle Age, but he also has a couple of skirms mixed into his army, which means that he's going to have the upper hand over Nikov's army. It's 11 archers against 8 archers and 5 skirms. A fight that Scotty should be very confident in taking overall. Nicov may have to abandon this woodline over here because the archers will be at the back of it. He's getting close to picking up to Castle Age. Scotty also is getting there. As I said, Scotty is going to be a little bit later to Castle Age over here, but he's going to be able to pressure this food line, and he may be able to pick a villager off here. Nope, all villagers are safe, and Nicov actually went for all the houses behind these walls just to make sure the archers don't break through. So for now, it looks like Scotty is going to have to retreat, and Scotty is going to be a little bit low on gold. That's the main concern. That's one of the reasons why he's unable to click up. And now he's idling his TC. I wonder if this is intentional, and it seemed like it isn't. So if he wanted to click up faster, he could have idled his DC a little bit, but it looks like he was just, focusing on microing and stuff. That's a nice hill to hold for both players. But if you're Scotty, you're the one that probably wants to engage because you want to force a fight with your skirmishers before the opponent gets the crossbowman upgrade. The thing is that the only way that Scotty is able to fight these archers is if he's actually giving up his hill advantage. This is important for Nicov. Look at how he's patrolling his army. He is patrolling on this side of the hill and not this side of the hill. If he was actually patrolling on this side of the hill, the skirms and archers of Scotty would be able to use this hill and shoot on them. Now that he's patrolling on this side of the hill, Scotty, if he wants to attack this one, he has to move over here because of the lower range in Feudal Age. And that would mean that he's giving up his hill advantage, which is something that you don't want to do even against like any other civilization, but definitely not against Tatars that will even get a hill bonus. So that's one of the reasons why Nicov was patrolling his army over there. And once again, as I said, you can use that militia to keep track of the opponent's army. It looks like we'll have scarebotting for Scotty, so we will have a transition into what's gonna be double stable knights over here. Potentially supported by, I think the crossbow upgrade will still come in for Scotty. But the thing is that in the meanwhile, Nicov has amassed an army of 22 crossbows, and we are likely to going to get Cav archers as well at some point, and knights will sort of struggle dealing with them. So we'll see what that is going to be for Scotty. As I said, the problem is that as long as like Nicov has a lot of foot archers, they will just melt camels, so you can't just make camels to deal with the Cav archers. If it was pure Cav archers, you could make an argument for camels, but as long as there is foot archers from Nicov as well, mixture of crossbows and Cav archers is not something that you can deal with using camels, so you will have knights, but then knights will just be outrun by Cav archers. That's the main concern that you're having over here. Anyways, Scotty's gonna have to relocate his woodline over here. Doesn't have amazing woodlines right now. Nicov up to Castle Age, so is Scotty. archer numbers are close enough to say that Scotty is going to be able to take a reasonable engagement over here, especially if he's supported by a couple of knights. The knights will have +1 defense, but that is all. Both players do have horse color and double bit axe for now, and let's see if Nicov is gonna pull a Voyager for a forward siege workshop. The answer is no. He's going to make a university for ballistics, and remember that he already has Thumb Ring, and he's getting this DC up as well, which will mean that he's gonna be able to get the extra sheep now. And that's a nice fight over there until Nicov takes this hill. I think Nicov, that's a beautiful move from Nicov, look at that. He's taking that little hill, and remember, it's Tatar's heal bonus. That being said, Nicov and Scotty trade rather evenly in this engagement, I would say. But this is what the expert players love to do, and that's a very, very good way of just driving your opponent crazy. Detach a couple of crossbows, especially. You should wait until you get ballistics here, so you can guarantee to kill villagers. But yes, this is exactly what you want to do. Send in a couple of villagers over here, and as I said, if these crossbows would have waited until ballistics, they could have killed 2 or 3 villagers instead of just 1. So, with that, now you see that Scotty is going to send his army to clean this one up, but Nicov can just send this army over here to the corner and save it, and in the meanwhile push into the middle. And we're going to have the Cav Archers arriving right now for Nicov. Double ranges and going to be 3 TCs. He's sending those villagers to stone, which could mean that we could see Kashyyyks in the future as well. And these crossbows are still alive. And look at that, Scotty has given up on searching them. And this TC might even go denied over here. Nicov, he could definitely deny this TC. These are Thumb Ring crossbows with ballistics, and indeed that TC goes denied, and that is a disaster for Scotty. He's gonna have to bring his army back, but it's not that easy, because Nicov is moving in here as well with crossbows, and we have a 16 villagers lead right now for Nicov. It's a cleanup over here. Nicov acknowledges that, okay, I'm gonna lose my crossbows, so might as well trade those crossbows off to a couple of villagers. So he took down 1 or 2 more villas, and these crossbows are extremely devastating. So these are basically fully or almost fully upgraded Castle Age crossbows. They're missing the final armor upgrade, but other than that, they have Thumb Ring, they have ballistics, they even have a massive heal advantage. And Scotty is doing an excellent job just getting the knights out on the field with +2 defense. So we'll see if he's gonna be able to clean this one up. The main concern for Scotty is that his eco is a little bit too weak to my taste. And now Nicov knows that he's gonna lose those crossbows. Look at that, what he's doing. He's just gonna go and kill villagers with them. That's exactly what he's supposed to be doing. And Nicov killed 14 villagers of the opponent. That's the main problem. Even if Scotty didn't lose that many villagers, there would be a 17 villas lead, but now it is a 30 villagers lead. And that is a reasonable fight for Scotty over there, but still it's heal bonus for the Tatar player. And he already has Thumb Ring, so eventually this is a cleanup. And the problem is that Scotty needs amazing engagements here to turn this one around. He has a couple of knights on the field, and he's getting TC number 3 up. And so far, I have to say that Scotty is doing the right things. It is just a matter of small details. So 14 villagers killed is just way too much over here at this point. The villagers that were killed on this TC, the villagers that was killed on this wood line, the villagers that were killed when the push in here came. So that's just a little bit too much to handle. Also, Nicov had a much smoother transition into a triple TC play, whereas Scotty is just getting his 3rd TC up, and I wouldn't be surprised to see Nicov dropping range number 3 and potentially 4 rather soon. And indeed, here comes another range. Bloodlines is still missing for those cavalry, and so is Husbandry as well, I believe. But Nicov is sitting on basically double the villagers as Scotty does, and this is one of those situations where Nicov has a so big eco lead that it basically doesn't matter what he's doing, it's going to be enough against Scotty, unless Scotty is able to find a way to kill a lot of villagers, which seems somewhat unlikely with only 30 army on the field, most of them being knights that will be just blocked by walls, unless Nicov does an overchop over here. We'll see if that is actually going to happen. 3 TCs are up for Scotty, but it's going to be impossible for him to catch up in terms of villager count, because his opponent is on 3 TCs. In such a situation, the only thing that he can hope for is that he is somehow able to drag this game out, and having a 40 villagers deficit right now, when the opponent has 80 villagers and you only have 40, is much more significant than having a 40 villagers difference when the opponent has 130 villagers and you have 90. So what you can hope and aspire for is that you can actually drag this game out a little bit so that you have at least a chance to sort of catch up in eco, or at least, you know, in proportion to the overall villager count, decrease your difference. But Nicov is already getting range number 4 up here, and there is going to be a monastery as well to pick up the relics. Cav archers tempted to move in there. They will not commit, but they once again pick off a villager. And that's an increasing amount of cav archers with husbandry. That's the problem that Scotty is going to be facing. Now he's making camos once again. I think he's doing the right things. It's a matter of this game is just too far gone. So he's really making the right decisions. It is a matter of he lost way too many villagers, and Nicov also had a smoother transition to eco build up here. So that's the two ingredients. Had he not lost 15 villagers, he would be at 72 right now, so that is still a 22 villagers deficit, but it would be much better than the current situation, which is a 35 vills lead right now for Nicov, who's making TC number 4 over here, casually chilling, going bloodlines over here, and once again 2 more villagers by the dust, make it 3, make it 4. Nicov has been tearing apart the eco of his opponent over here. There's a Scorpion in, but the mobility advantage is huge here for the Cav Archers. Also, the hill advantage is enormous, so you can just fall back to hill and guaranteed take a fight that's going to be suitable for you. This Cav Archer is going to get wasted over here though. That was kind of wasteful for Nicov. But anyways, he's gonna start picking up relics over here. He's gonna have the mobility advantage, and in the meanwhile, Scotty trying to salvage something out of this game, but unless Nicov makes an enormous mistake, it is somewhat unlikely that we're going to see a Scotty comeback in this game. Nicov, good old-fashioned bozo at 33 minutes, so apparently there are things that are not changing in competitive Age of Empires. For example, Nicov not getting his eco upgrades on time, and similar thing is like back T-posing games every 5 minutes, and well, there are just things that do not change. So, looking at the ecos right now, he is gonna go up to Imperial most likely, and just go heavy CA with Chemistry Bracer, and that should be more than enough to finish the game off. He's 12 on stone, so he wants a castle up pretty fast. We'll see if that's a defensive castle or aggressive castle. Look at that militia. This militia is still extremely good. I think this militia is patrolling this hill over here, and that is helping as we have an overchop here, potentially. Nice last second wall over there by Nicov. So yeah, you see this militia, it's patrolling left and right, but it's so valuable for the information that you can see when your opponent is coming. It seems like an insignificant detail, but in reality that is actually extremely important. Information is one of the most important things in Age of Empires, and the fact that you have a militia over there that is otherwise a pretty useless unit right now for you is enormous. And in the meanwhile, Scotty's army is getting cleaned up over here. Cav Archers just absolutely disintegrating all those knights with the heal bonus. And as I said, Nicov is going into Imperial. I would be massively surprised if Scotty would play on after Nicov reaches Imperial. And in fact, we might just see Nicov going for a very aggressive castle over here. You could have made an argument for a castle over here as well, but this one is also going to be great. Pretty much denying that gold mine, that wood line, and right in the face of a Scotty over here. It's a lot of villagers being pulled, so Scotty knows exactly what is up. And I don't think that Scotty is gonna wait until Nicov gets into Imperial. He knows exactly that the castle is going up, and there's the GG indeed. So yeah, I feel like Scotty was doing the right things. It's about minor details falling apart. This 21-0 KD when it comes to villagers killed is brutal. But even if Scotty had those 21 villagers, he would be sitting at 107. So it was also about Nicov having a much smoother transition to free TCs. And he was able to possess the villager lead in basically every moment in the game. And that couldn't just be accounted to the fact that he was more successful killing villagers from the opponent. It obviously contributed, but Nicov also had a smoother transition into a free TC play. Nice and easy victory for Nicov over here. But as I said, the stronger player is likely to win Arabia. So the real question is, what can Scotty do on his home maps, potentially Nikov's home maps? Scotty has made the right moves, and I felt like his execution was alright as well. It's just a better off. Nicov was just a tiny bit better in every aspect of the game, and that is enough to make you lose the game overall. So the home maps for Scotty are Slopes and Bay. And we are apparently going into Slopes. So give me a moment to join into the game, and here we go. So welcome to Slopes. We're going to have a Scotty playing as Aztecs here on the right side. That is a surprising civilization pick for this map. The left side is going to be Nicov as a Mongols. That is much, much more reasonable. And I would say that Mongols are likely to be the most reasonable civilization overall for this map. And the reason why is because even though with Indians you get the shore fishing bonus, but it's not a lot of shore fish on the outside over here. But Mongols will get the hunt bonus, which makes it very, very nice to mill all these huntables on the outside. And the shore fishing is still a fast source of food, so you can actually still use it. And more importantly, you also get your eco bonus on these huntables at the beginning. And obviously, the fact that Mongols have one of the best late game unit compositions obviously contributes to it being one of the better civs on this map. So the real question is, what are Aztecs going to do? I can see something like a 5 militia drush being a thing here for the Aztec player. So starting with extra gold, you could really make a case for going for a very, very aggressive drush and hoping that you can force your opponent away from the huntables. One thing is sure, it is very likely that Nicov is going to try to get at least 1 mil on one side, because he is Mongols and he wants to capitalize on that hunt bonus. He decides to go for a lumber camp first. The alternative strategy is that you don't go for the lumber camp first, like you would do on any normal map like Arabia, but instead you send the villagers out and make a mill over here, and then use the straggler trees to collect the wood that you need to make a lumber camp. That is the alternative build order. I don't think that there is a massive difference in the success of that. However, maybe you may get a little bit more food if you actually go for mill first and the lumber camp later on. Obviously, that is going to result in you consuming more of your straggler trees, which could be a little bit more problematic once feudal age kicks in, because you want to use those straggler trees as a wood source for the villagers that are waiting to be able to build farms. Anyways, we get 4 on wood for Nicov over here, so this is not going to be a scout's play from him. Unlike most players do with Mongols, it is more likely that we're going to see like a fast feudal archers play or so. Maybe even men-at-arms could be viable. In the meanwhile, Scotty is bringing in boar number 1. The other boar is over here. Scotty is 4 on wood as well himself, and hasn't moved out towards the ponds so far. So here comes Nicov, and he's going to send out 3 villagers. These villagers are going out without loom. That's the other different approach that you can take. You can either send villagers one by one, which I massively dislike, or you can actually wait until you have like 3 extra villagers and you can send those out. With Mongols, you're going to be taking the hunt first, because Mongols hunt is actually better than a general villager shore fishing. So here you're actually going to take the hunt, and Nicov will still mill this one though. And behind this, he's already consuming boar number 2, and it's already boar number 2 being eaten by Nicov. Other side, it looks like Scotty is not willing to take the risk of moving out to the berries, or berries, moving out to the shorefish and the huntables. He's just going to settle with the berries, which is the safer play, but it is way less rewarding. And the problem is that Mongols, especially against Mongols that have a great eco when it comes to the hunt, they will just be able to beat you to feudal age and overall beat you in early military numbers as well, because they will just have much, much better resource income. So you really have to wonder if with Aztecs it is a wise idea to just play this safe. With that being said, Nicov is dropping the barracks over here at villager number 17. And it seems like he wants to click up after this. This really looks like a men-at-arms build from him. Indeed, here's the villager sent to gold. So this is probably going to be a men-at-arms build, as Nicov is trying to delay that barracks from Scotty over here. What is Scotty up to? Scotty is, since he's playing with berries, he shouldn't really have a very, very fast feudal age over here. So even if it's men-at-arms or straight archers, it is likely going to be 22 pop standard build over here. And in the meanwhile, as I said, Nikov's fast feudal is crazy. So this is actually a 19 pop men-at-arms build, which is absolutely doable with Mongols, but it would be nearly impossible to pull off with other civilizations. So this is a nice benefit that Nicov is having. And remember that he still has the shorefish available over here. So That is a nice added benefit here as well. Scotty getting the militias out himself. It seems like he wants men-at-arms. No, he wants to go Drush. But in this case, he might be thinking about Drush FC, which may be viable. However, I'm not a fan of this, especially against a player like Nicov. As I said, with Aztecs, you start with extra gold, so you can actually make a Drush of 5 militias, but it looks like we'll only have 3. And the bigger concern right now for Scotty is that Nicov is just going to be annoying and try to make sure that this hole isn't closed and the militias will arrive. They will soon be men-at-arms. Scotty is going to send his own militias back or not. He's going to press on with his own militias. However, the men-at-arms will be much more dangerous here for Nicov than the militias will be. And indeed, here come the men-at-arms. It's also Field Age Scout now. Contingency walls are coming in here for Scotty. And it looks like they will just make sure that the Voyager isn't able to wall off this part of the map. Nicov has to run away from his own berries though. Scotty able to get some nice hits in there with the militias. And in the meanwhile, men-at-arms, are they going to run past the TC? They will. They will just run past the TC over here. The Scout was sacrificed in the process and a lot of HP was lost on that men-at-arms as well. But it may still be worth it. Men-at-arms coming in here to get the potential Voyager kill, and yes, there is going to be a Will kill in this one. A lot of Voyagers on berries, way too many Voyagers on those berries, and Scotty is gonna have to run away. There's a difference between militias and men-at-arms. Against militias, you can pull a couple of Voyagers to fight that. That's no longer possible. Against men-at-arms, another Voyager could lose her life. It's one more hit, and that is a Voyager killed. 2 to 1 is the Voyager KD. Interestingly, Scotty killed no Voyagers and Nicov has 1 Voyagers lost. Which means that Nicov somehow lost the Voyager to a boar or something like that. Something that we haven't seen. Or maybe deleted it himself, but the only way that this happens is if it wasn't Scotty killing that. Anyways, there is an archer coming in here to kill the militias, and I wouldn't be surprised to see Nicov trying to get some hits on that Eagle with the villagers to prevent the Eagle from killing the archers at the beginning. Men-at-arms bashing down the middle over here, which is completely reasonable, and as I said, Scotty isn't really able to do much here, so it's not like he can stop this one, and he's going to lose that mill, which is annoying because he's going to lose his option to get farm upgrades. In the meanwhile, he's at 25 vills, 2 on food, 0 on gold. I don't know what this build order wanted to be, but it is going to be a disaster sort of a build order. And is it rushing to Eagle? I am not a big fan of Fuel Age Eagles, that's the thing. They're just too slow training. And in the meanwhile, Nicov is able to take the other pond as well. You see he has Shorefish here. This game so far has Nicov written all over it. So that is definitely not a great scenario for Scotty, because this is his own home map, and I don't know what he was planning. I don't know, like, he was trying to go for like a safe full wall play. By the way, this is open, so even if he was fully walled and this wasn't broken through, he would be open here. But he was trying to go for a very safe way of playing this one, then rush into maybe archers. Now he's going for egos. No, that's actually a range. In that case, this wanted to be a rush into archers, but ended up being sort of a disaster as he started dying to the men-at-arms. At the end of the day, there is 2 Voyagers killed by Nicov, but he also lost 1, so it should only be a 1 Voyager's lead, but there is more TC at a time as well for Scotty, so that is why Nicov has like 1.5-ish Voyager lead. And now there's archers coming from the other side. Scotty's trying to trap those men-at-arms in there, but I think at this point Nicov is going to be like, okay, whatever, I can stay over here, because I'll have an archer coming from the other side, and that is going to prevent your Voyagers from, you know, running away in the other direction. There is a couple more archers coming in here, and eventually, oh, look at that, that's actually a nice move from Scotty, walling those Voyagers in there. The problem is that he's got an awful lot of idle time. It's 17 minutes against 6. Nikov's eco is completely untouched, and we shouldn't forget the fact that Nicov also has access to Huntables here and the Shorefish, so Nikov's food eco has been crazy good here. And at the end of the day, if you look at the food count, that I think starts to show pretty heavily. In fact, Nicov could already start thinking about, hey, what if I go up to Castle Age, because his food count is looking good enough to potentially go up to Castle Age in the near future. He's got a blacksmith and a range, so technically he doesn't need any more buildings to go up. All he needs to do is just preserve his archer numbers, and if he can get to Castle Age first, he can get Potentially a couple of crossbows, but more likely to have crossbow upgrade and then knight with a stable and potentially forward siege workshop mangonels is the name of the game. And indeed, he's now thinking about going up to the next age. He does have fletching already, as Scotty is just getting his own fletching in a couple of skirms. And Scotty opened the gate over here. That is a disaster. He's lucky that he didn't lose that villager, because that could have been killed by Nicov. In the meanwhile, we have a couple of archers trying to get through the walls here, or not. They're just having a big chilling moment over there. So Nicov a little bit long gold, so he might need to wait a bit more with Castle Age, but I mean, Scotty is not even remotely close to going up to Castle Age. Nicov running away with this army over here, and there is the stable. So when you're beating your Castle Age, or when you're beating your opponent to Castle Age like this, it is more than viable to go for a knight play, because the knights will allow you to get a nice unit from Castle Age that is extremely hard to build. It's a high value unit, and it's really, really hard to kill a knight with Feudal Age units. Obviously, Spearman will do that, but when there is crossbow support, the knight is an excellent unit to just tank up the damage from Feudal Age archers and skirms, deal with eagles, and the only thing that really can endanger them is a Spearman from Feudal, but the crossbowman here from Nicov will be able to deal with that one without any major concerns as well. It looks like Scotty will try to sandwich this army in between his skirms and archers and the eagles from the other side, and Nicov might be diving a little bit too deep into his opponent's base, although we technically have to say that everything went down over here from Scotty. Scotty doesn't have the archer armor on those skirms, and that really shows. Scotty trying to trap this army in here, and Feudal Age Eagles without the armor upgrades aren't amazing against archers, mainly because you can't really get good numbers of Eagles here. So you don't have good numbers, and they are still dying pretty fast to the archers, and Scotty just caused the GG. Nicov didn't even have to go up to Castle Age, he just executed Scotty in this one. As good as Scotty was playing in the first game, I feel like he just got annihilated over here, and I'm actually afraid that we might see another stomp in the first round of the qualifiers. It is a thing, however, and we have to consider this, as I said, that this is 64 players and 8 players aren't even in this bracket because they were invited directly. So obviously, in the first round of qualifiers, just like in every tournament, there is going to be stomps. That's basically the kind of counter argument to saying why do we need this many people in qualifiers. I think in this case, that's something that is completely justified. Because the thing is that there is a prize money for the qualifiers, so even if you don't qualify, you are going to be able to fight for a prize money of, I think, $2,500. So a couple $100 could go to the players that fail to qualify but get deep into the qualifiers. So here, giving 64 players the chance to play in the qualifiers is actually reasonable, I would say. However, we shouldn't be surprised to see a couple of somewhat one-sided games. Anyways, we are going into Bay over here, and that is going to be the second home map of Scotty. He's going to be playing Persians in red. The other side will be Japanese for Nicov. Nikov's got somewhat reasonable base layout. This forest helps a lot when it comes to walling his base, but he doesn't have very safe and reliable wood lines, and simultaneously his primary gold and stone is on the front. This gold is workable for him if he was diagonally like this, but it is not a great base layout for Nicov, especially the lack of wood at the back hurts so much for him. Other side, Scotty's base is a little bit better, to be honest. This gold is rather safe if he was like this. Stone is once again not really accessible for him, but the front is easy to wall, which is extremely helpful for Scotty, I would say, over here. So the way that Bay plays out is that you are going to get your dock up, get fishing done, and you're most likely, like, whoever starts losing the water is going to be the one that starts making land army first. That's basically the story of this one. Now, the thing is that Persian docks will be extremely hard to kill from Scotty, and they're also going to work faster, which would seemingly give him an edge on water. The problem is that even if Scotty has an advantage on water, he's not really going to be able to capitalize on that very easily, because Nikov's fishing ships will be extremely hard to kill, so it's going to take a lot of time until he's able to do that. And it looks like Nicov was able to get 2 hits on Scotty's scouts, so Scotty's going to have to fall back. We'll see if this Voyager is here to help out a little bit. I think Scotty may have wanted to intercept the Voyager of Nicov that's coming in here for the dock. Nicov already starting to make the dock for himself, and this is smart from Nicov. He knows that Scotty is running away with that scout, so he's gonna start looking for the Voyager that is making the dock and trying to force Scotty to take a fight over here. And for now, Scotty is gonna be able to bring in the Voyager, and it would be a big mistake to leave that Voyager alone. But still, look at this. Nico already has the dock up, and he's gonna get a fishing ship out in a matter of moments. Japanese fishing ships will also work a little bit faster, which is an added benefit of Japanese here. And if Scotty is running away with that scout, Nicov is just going to try and get a hit on that Voyager. He doesn't have to kill that whale. All he needs to do is just make sure that that Voyager is going to be delayed at constructing the dock. And it looks like Nicov is going to settle with that a bit of a delay. He's already like 50% ahead in the first fishing ship, which doesn't seem like much, but every little bit matters when it comes to such games. Anyways, we are gonna have the second board already coming in here for Nicov, and I think the second board is already in as well for Scotty. No, he's just bringing in the second board right now. He uses a nice little back gold over here, which can be extremely helpful. So how does this Civ matchup shape out? The thing is that Persian Knights will be dealing extra damage against archers, and Japanese are mainly an archer Civ. However, Persians will somewhat struggle against the pikemen and siege push in Castle Age. Japanese pikemen in particular are going to be extremely devastating, and the pikemen, potentially monk and siege push, could be extremely devastating against Persians. Anyways, as you see, it looks like Scotty is going to be splitting up his fishing ships, whereas Nicov is just taking the closest fish over here. Apparently, the fish spawn is much better from Nicov. I'm just noticing that I feel like Scotty is missing a tile of deep fish over here. This is probably just a script bug or so, because it definitely feels like Nicov has a deep fish right next to his dock, and like obviously that also depends on the dock placement, but even if Nicov placed his dock over here, he would have a deep fish close by. Even if he placed it over here, he would have a deep fish close by. Whereas for Scotty, it kind of feels like, what, even if he places it over here, this is a little bit far out, so I'm not going to lie, I think that the map favors Nicov over here a little bit when it comes to fish spawns. You kind of have to live with it, but this is something that would be nice if it was cleaned up for the main event, because it seems like the fish spawn is a little bit inconsistent in this one. Anyways, Scott is going to go for some preemptive vows, which may be reasonable, because it's better to vow yourself up than, you know, to die to a potential surprise scouts play. However, it's going to be a big investment from him. And the thing is that Nicov isn't actually going to fight on land anytime soon. Usually what you see is that players are vowing themselves up after the opponent has won water, because then you know that the opponent is actually going to start pushing you on land, and that's where players start vowing themselves up. That being said, the vows will be completed over here for Scotty. Nicov was trying to block that one for a brief moment, but that won't actually happen, and Nicov will actually get a better fuelage time over here, which is crucial, because he's going to be able to take that scout fight, and Scotty can't escape this one. Scotty's going to lose that scout. That is the way that Age of Empires is being played, and indeed that scout goes down, which is a kind of problematic thing for Scotty, because he's going to be denied of information. That's a very important thing. Like, especially on such a map where you're going to be focusing on water fights, being denied from information and being denied from being aware of your opponent potentially pushing up on you could be extremely problematic. That being said, we have two docks for both players. Fire galleys are coming out over here. Both docks are actually separated from each other pretty heavily, partially because I guess Nicov wanted to increase the efficiency of his fishing eco over here, so this is why this dock is going to be so good for him, because it's close to another deep fish. But anyways, we are gonna have the first fire galleys out for both players. Third dock is coming in here for Nicov, and he can use that scout to harass the fishing ships of his opponent as well, which is once again an added benefit. And we haven't talked about the fact, well, we did, but not in detail, that Japanese fishing ships will be much harder to kill, whereas it is just so much easier for Nicov to start pressuring those fishing ships. They have to run away so easily because they are somewhat fragile compared to Japanese. Now, if you're Nicov, you're gonna focus down the opponent's fire ship over here, and we will see if we are gonna have Nicov withdrawing that galley. He doesn't have to right now, but it seems like he's going to win this Fargate fight. I don't know how that happened, because theoretically Scotty's ship were attacking Nikov's ships for a longer amount of time, and Nicov could also sink another fire galley over here. What is going on? Scotty actually had more ships at the beginning, but Nicov didn't lose any, so that actually is already a huge win for Nicov. It's 5 military to 0, and he could be ready to start sinking those fishing ships, which is going to start giving him an eco boost. And I feel like Scotty may have already lost water. He's gonna try getting some fire galleys out here, but he's got idle fishing ships over here, whereas Nikov's fish is completely operational. And one of the additional things that you're getting when you're Japanese is that your opponent can just make a demo and try to dive in and snipe your fishing ships. So demo snipes are much less viable against Japanese, which is a huge thing. So if Scotty feels like he lost water, what he has to do is make a demo and try to kill the opponent's fishing ships with that. However, against Japanese, that's much, much harder. And Nicov is already having a 5 villagers lead, and Scotty taps out. Oh, man. Feels bad, man. Nicov having a very, very easy time over here. In just about 45 minutes, he absolutely annihilated his opponent over here. But it is what it is. As I said, this is what you get sometimes when you have a lot of players in the qualifiers. The skill gap often is pretty huge. It is very unlucky for Scotty that he got one of the strongest players in the qualifiers. Nicov is definitely a candidate to get into the main event, and in fact, I would be surprised if I haven't seen him over there. With that, I'm gonna thank you for watching this series with me. I will try my best to upload all the qualifier sets as well. This weekend is going to have an awful lot of them, so expect quite a lot of series uploaded here on YouTube as well. And if you are interested, you can check out my Twitch channel as well. Link is in the description, where I cast games live. So thanks everybody for watching, and have a nice day.